California's Salinas Valley is probably the world's most productive agricultural region. 12 months a year, there's something going in or coming out of the Salinas Valley, aptly dubbed the salad bowl of the world. The valley's annual agricultural economic output averages a staggering $10,000 per acre, while the rest of California ag land generates around $1,000 per acre, and nationwide it's a thrifty $100 per acre. Across America, ag land sells for an average of around $2,500 per acre, but in the Salinas Valley, that same $2,500 will buy you 12 months' rent on an acre of prime ag land. To maximize income, Salinas Valley farmers have come up with creative ways to command top dollar for their products, such as bagged leafy greens, slivered broccoli stems, and an amazing machine that grinds big carrots into multiple baby carrots that quadruples the price point average. I'm your host, Tom Wilmer, reporting from the Salinas Valley for Audiolog. Come along and join us as we visit with Evan Oakes, who majored in agronomy at UC Davis and did his graduate work in viticulture at Fresno State. Today, Evan Oakes consults in the agriculture industry, and for the past decade he has operated Ag Venture Tours, where he takes visitors on fascinating field trips through Salinas Valley's agricultural and viticultural wonderland.
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from the California to the New York
Evan Oakes.
from the Redwood Forest.
Hi, Evan.
Good morning, Tom. Thanks for coming here. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. It's a beautiful valley, and there's so much to see and learn about this area.
It really is probably the most productive agricultural land in the world, isn't it?
This area, we're blessed with some amazing soil and an amazing climate, a labor supply that's very loyal and skilled at what they do, plenty of water underground that we're able to irrigate the crops with. So yeah, it is an amazing area for fresh vegetables.
Let's talk a moment about the labor factor. They have a diversity of talents and cross-training skills.
Yes, definitely. And actually, we're in Spreckles, just outside of Salinas, at some friends of mine, Chris Bunn and his family who run the farm. They depend on Latino men and women to do all of the field work, and they value that labor and pay very fairly and try to make the conditions as good as possible. But of course, the labor is very difficult, and this is always very hard work. But the men and women that work in this industry are just amazing at what they do. It's kind of an interesting combination here because this valley, it's about 100 miles north to south. The vegetables are mainly grown in the flat land of the river valley, and then up on the sides of the valley, before the mountains get too steep, we grow grapes. And so vegetables are grown maybe 8 to 9 months of the year, and then during the winter months the vineyards have to be pruned, and so many of the men and women that work in the fields during the main growing season, then during the winter time, are going to prune the vineyards. And it's an interesting combination where it gives opportunity for year-round employment.
And behind us, there's a sea of green, of brand new sprouts.
We're looking actually at a field of romaine lettuce that's just at about its 20-30 day stage. It's just been thinned recently, and so this lettuce will come along quite quickly now. It usually takes anywhere from maybe 55 to 60 days to come from seed to harvest. All right, well, we are just down the road from where we just started, still just outside of Salinas and Spreckles, and we're at an organic farm. Whenever you're organic, they're pretty careful about labeling the fields. They also have very strict guidelines on borders and boundaries and how to prevent any kind of chemical drift. But these are strawberries here in front of us, and we're famous for strawberries. We grow half the country's strawberries. They are a crop that generally starts harvest at the beginning of April, sometimes late March, but usually by the beginning of April, and they can harvest this field all the way through into November, sometimes even December. The beds are covered with plastic in order to keep the fruit from touching the soil. So that way the quality of the fruit is much better. If you grow strawberries on soil, that little part of the berry that was touching the soil will absorb fungi or bacteria and will decay and won't ship as well. And it may look nice when you pick it, and it may hold up 1 or 2 days, but it's not good for shipping shipping to a far-off market like the East Coast or exporting to Japan.
Tell us about the raised bed.
Well, the beds are raised up a little higher, actually almost double the height of a normal vegetable bed, mainly to try to make it a little easier for the men and women who pick the berries.
It's nothing to do with moisture and root structure.
No, it just has to do with making it a little more comfortable because you are bending down quite low to pick the berries, and so the higher the bed, the easier it's going to be to harvest that berry.
Percentage-wise, organic production of strawberries in the county versus sustainable or sprayed?
I would say it's just amazing. It's such a large agriculture industry here that conventional produce dominates and is usually around 90 to 95%. So organic is still quite low. It is growing and it is very valuable because in general organic produce can sometimes be double the price of conventional produce. So even though there might be a smaller percentage of the acreage or the total, the value of it is relatively high. Growing strawberries organically is a little difficult. We do have a very cool climate here, and so we do get a number of diseases. That's the main concern. And then also strawberries are very susceptible to soil disease. In conventional operation, they would oftentimes fumigate the soil. In an organic operation, they could not do that. But with a good integrated pest management program and really keeping on top of the disease pressure and then releasing beneficial insects to do your insect control, they can do a pretty good job, and this field looks quite good. There's some really nice looking berries out here.
What happens at the end of this growing cycle and season of these plants here?
We grow strawberries as an annual crop, but they do take a full year in the ground. At the end of the season, they'll pick this field starting now about once every 3-4 days. They're very prolific varieties that are out now, and they'll pick this all the way through the winter when it starts getting too wet. And then the decay from the rain will just put them out of business, and they will then pull out the plastic, pull out the drip irrigation, which they can reuse. They'll chop up all the plants, they'll level this field, reshape the beds, and this will go into vegetable. All right, well, welcome to Castroville. Very old city in Monterey County. Goes all the way back to late 1700s, early 1800s. They've been growing artichokes here since about the 1920s and 30s. And we're at Pizzini Farms now, actually, just off of Highway 1, right outside of Castroville. This family has been growing artichokes for 50 years at least, and we're standing by their main field. It's kind of the end of the season, so they're a little ratty looking, but this time of the year we're getting ready to chop the plants down to the ground. They are a perennial, so they're going to be here for about 10 years. But they're getting ready to be the final harvest, and then chop the plants down to the ground. They're going to push back during the summer months, and then starting in the fall, maybe October, November, they're ready to go again for harvest all through the winter and spring.
So it's the same roots, and they just keep coming back up again.
Now there is a variety that is an annual, a new variety that is grown just 1 year, and they're very prolific, and you get one harvest and then that's it, you're done with it. But this is the Green Globe variety that put Castroville on the map, and what I consider the best. Your listeners, if you ever make it in this area, that's the type of thing that you'd see on this kind of tour.
Boy, Evan, we could go on and on. This is just so fascinating. I wish I had all day to be with you, but we're out of time. So, for further information.
Yes, the best way is to go to my website, which is www.agventuretours.com, and that's AG as in agriculture and then venture tours. And then don't forget that I also do a lot of wine related tours too, so that's actually my true expertise, is in viticulture and in wine tasting, and so we do those types of tours also.
Evan, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Tom. Thank you for coming.
My honor. We've been speaking with Evan Oakes, the owner and proprietor of Ag Venture Tours. This is your host, Tom Wilmer, reporting for National Public Radio affiliate KCBX and KCBX HD1 serving San Luis Obispo, and KSBX serving Santa Barbara County, reporting from Monterey County.
Borrachita de tequila llevo siempre